But let me go across to Puneet, because the other sector which could see benefits is in terms of auto. Viewers, just one thing that we need to note is that since the announcement from the 15th of August in terms of GST rate rationalization, a lot of these companies, a lot of these sectors have already seen a run up. So, don't really have high expectations in terms of a major rally that could come in. But yes, movement will be there. Puneet, what is it meaning for auto companies?
Well, thank you for that. So the key aspect is from yesterday that there are no any negative surprises. A lot of it was priced in. GST has reduced from 28% to 18%, and that will essentially benefit the entry-level motorcycle as well as the entry-level car segment. The other aspect is the GST reduction on tractors. They've gone from 12% to 5%, and that will be the other key segment that gets the benefit. So let me first start with tractors. Beneficiaries include Mahindra and Mahindra. They have almost a 50% market share in India, and someone like Escorts and VST Tillers are the other ones that get benefited from this particular move. The other ones, petrol cars, GST has been reduced to roughly below 1200 cc and below 4 meters. So that is the 4000 millimeters or 4 meters essentially, and you see the smaller cars will get benefited. Someone like Maruti, Hyundai, as well as Tata Motors till an extent, because they have a lot of smaller cars which Altroz, Punch amongst others that get benefited there. Diesel cars not exceeding 1500 cc or 4000 meters are also the other likely beneficiaries, and here Mahindra and Mahindra is expected to be one of the biggest beneficiaries. 79% of the current portfolio is diesel, so they will get that impact. And finally, on two-wheelers, we did see a positive reaction on stocks over the last couple of weeks. Someone like a Hero MotoCorp is expected to be one of the biggest beneficiaries because 80% of the current portfolio is below or at 100 cc. They are one of the biggest beneficiaries. TVS, Bajaj, as well as Eicher are some of the other ones that get that benefit. For Eicher, the 350cc and below portfolio is roughly around 90% of their total sales. So these are some of the key aspects which will get benefited in the auto space. But as you rightly mentioned, a lot of it was priced in since 15th August, and someone like a Maruti is one of the biggest beneficiaries. Stock is up 15% in just the last 18 days or so.
Right. So again, an interesting sector that you are watching out for. Looking at another aspect is in terms of insurance. Now, overall, the complete GST exemption on health and life insurance is a positive. Earlier, we were looking at 18% on life and health insurance premiums for individuals. Harsh is with us to tell us more in terms of the way the sector will get impacted and what the companies will see.
Well, yes. So this is a straitjacket saving of 15% on your insurance premium, which you will pay out. The positive, of course, being that the insurance demand might see some bit of elasticity, and to the extent of that elasticity, it's positive for all insurance companies, both life as well as health. And also on top of it, reinsurance has been completely exempted from GST as well. And this is, of course, reinsurance on insurance policies for individuals, again, completely exempted. So that's the other positive. The only possible concern here could be the fact that you don't get input tax credit. There are various services which insurers use. For example, commission agents, on which they get an input tax credit for the services that they avail, which is that the GST that they pay to such parties get knocked off against the GST which they were paying erstwhile to the government. That knockoff will now likely not happen because they don't have to pay GST anymore, and therefore that will be a cost in the cost structure of the company, and therefore that may enhance the cost structure just a little bit without a corresponding likely adjustment. So we'll have to wait and watch as to how that plays out and how much of that cost needs to get absorbed and how much can be priced through to the customer. But is there any doubt that this is positive for the customer? Not at all. There is likely to be a 13 to 15% pass through of a discount straight to the customer on the cost incurred by them. So clearly a positive even from an insurance standpoint.
Thank you so much for that, Harsh. In fact, we're trying to get Puneet back with us to tell us what happens with regards to cement, because that is another beneficiary. Puneet, over to you.
Well, just three key points I want to make for cement, because the GST is reduced from 28 to 18% in line with a lot of estimates that we are working going into the GST Council meet. But the demand for cement is quite inelastic, so you won't purchase more cement because of the reduction. So we could see that benefit firstly passed on to consumers or builders, essentially, who are the end consumers. The other aspect is that the price of a cement bag roughly goes on from 360 to 370 rupees per bag across the regions. This is an average. A 10% reduction would mean that you would see somewhere around 25 to 30 rupees per bag reduction on cement because of GST reduction. While some of it might get passed on certainly to consumers, some cement companies have been mentioning that there are some other costs on the commodity side that have gone up over the last few months, and they've taken up that hit. So we could see some, of course, being passed on to the consumers, but a lot might be delayed, essentially, and that is something to watch out for. We had the management of Shree Cement come in and tell us the same thing when in the middle of August, but that'll be something to watch out for, but definitely a benefit to the end consumers as well for cement.